traders here. This is Chris Capri with SecondSkiesForex.com. Today's video is one that I've kind of been excited about to talk about and bring out for a long time because I have seen how this has affected traders as a whole. The bottom line is that many of you have already had access to tons of systems, tons of different methods, probably many of which have made money for others but not for you. Why is that? And more than likely that has to do with the mindset, which is the difference between somebody who is successful and someone who isn't. I have given systems to traders where some traders have used them and made 110% return on capital for the year. And this has even been documented on my site. And yet other traders using the exact same systems haven't been able to make money with it. Why is that? What's the difference between the one person and the other? The difference is in the mindset. And one of the things that I have seen that has affected traders as a whole is the mindset of abundance, that some of them are lacking that. And so this video is about that. It's to talk about trading and particularly the laws of abundance and the mindset of abundance. So I'm really excited to bring this video out because I think once you start to really grasp this and understand this, this will really change your perspective, not just on trading, not just on abundance, but will help turn your mind in the right direction so that you start to think abundantly and start to have that mindset of abundance. Now, a couple things that I want to say about this is that if you are trading, you have the goal of becoming a professional trader or even part-time trader, whatever it is, every single one of you is saying one thing in common. You're saying you want to have more wealth than you have now. I've never met anybody who came to trading and said, I want to be less wealthy than I am right now. Every single one of you has said that through trading you want to build wealth, you want to increase wealth more than you have right now. This is something that everybody has in common. The problem is that the mindset that you came with trading is not the mindset that will lead you to become a successful trader. And one specific aspect of that is that you are saying, I want to be wealthy. I want to be abundant. I want to have more wealth and abundance than I have right now. And that's what you're saying, and you're saying you want to do this through trading. So there is that program running in your mind. There's this desire that is running in your mind. There is a problem, though, with this program. And before I get into that, I want to give a brief story. This is a very personal story of mine. It's about a client named Philip. Before I started trading, I was actually a yoga instructor in Southern California, in San Diego, in an area called Coronado. It's kind of a wealthy area, so the clientele there was generally pretty wealthy. And I was teaching yoga, and I was also doing yoga therapy for students. And this is before I started trading. I was involved in equities trading and mutual funds, but I wasn't involved in trading the Forex market. And this client named Philip wanted to work with me. He had retired at 40. He was a radiologist that invented scanning, screening technology, and he sold it to Kodak for millions of dollars and retired a decamillionaire by the time he was 40. The problem with Philip, though, is that he had cancer, and he wanted to work with me. He knew that he had a very low chance of surviving, but he wanted to make his body feel better through yoga, and that's where I came in. At that time, I was paying my bills, but I was definitely struggling. I was making good money per hour, but you can't teach 10 yoga classes a day. It'll just kill you. And so, I was struggling on a week-to-week basis. Sometimes I had enough money to last me a few days, and that was it. I didn't have any backup investments. I was playing with the markets because I wanted to get involved in the markets, but I really didn't have the money to do it. And so, I didn't have any backup plan. I didn't have any backup finances. Well, I was working with Philip, and one day we were sitting at the dinner table, and I had become friends with Philip and his whole family. I had just gotten to work with them, and he was a very, we just had a good connection. He was the one who actually introduced me to currency trading through a book, and he had said, hey, I think you could do this. I don't know why, but I have an intuition that you should do this, and I think you should do this. And so one day we were sitting at the dinner table. It was a Wednesday, and they were talking about going to see a movie. And the movie that they decided to see, they said, hey, do you want to come see it? We're going to go this Friday. And I said, I'd love to, but I've already seen that movie. And he said, well, how have you seen it? It doesn't come out till this Friday. And I said, well, I downloaded it online. And he stopped, he paused, and he looked at me, I wouldn't say with disgust, but he definitely had a look of disapproval. And he got very serious and very intense with me in that moment. He put down his silverware, and he looked at me and said, why did you do that? And I answered and I said, well, because there's this site that, you can download movies for free on, and, sometimes I can't go, I can't afford it, or whatever, but, sometimes I like to download the movies from that site. And he said, no, I understand that part, but why did you do that? He understood that I did it for whatever reasons I did, and that they really didn't matter. And he was trying to point to a deeper question as to why I was doing that. And of all the excuses I could come up with, the bottom line was I didn't want to pay for it. The bottom line was I didn't want to pay for that movie. It wasn't that I didn't have enough free time or I was too lazy to go to the movie theaters. The bottom line is that I didn't have that much money, and I said, well, I'd rather just, download it for free. It'll save me money. And I'd rather just not pay for it if I don't have to. And this was the question, that was what he was really trying to point at. He understood why. And when I told him, the real answer, that I didn't want to pay for it, he paused for a second, and this is what he told me. He said, look, I'm very conscious of my wealth, and so are the people that I hang around with. I respect and appreciate my wealth and abundance. If you ever want to be wealthy in your life, you will always pay for things. Unless they are gifted to you by the owner or the creator of that thing, you will always pay for it. By taking something that was not given to you, you are not only stealing it, but you are taking away and destroying the energy of abundance. This will not help bring abundance to you because you don't respect it. It will help destroy it. It will repel it. And it will push it away from you. And so this made me really think about it very deeply. This had a very deep impression on me. I started to think about immediately all the times that I had downloaded movies, hundreds of times. How many times has I stolen something that wasn't given to me? How much abundance did I destroy by doing that? It really had a deep impression on me. And he continued, and he followed this up with one more thing that really, I remember very deeply to this day. He said, by being wealthy and abundant and conscious of it, you appreciate the resources you have. And you pay for things if you want something. If you can't afford something, you don't steal it or take it, as that destroys abundance and wealth. And I started to think about this even further. He really impacted me with that. And I started to think about it further. By saying that I would, steal something like this and didn't want to pay for it, imagine if the whole world adopted this technology. That we can't afford it, so we can just steal it. Imagine if your neighbors thought that about something you had, and then they just said, hey, well, I can't afford this, so it's okay for me to steal it. I'm just going to steal yours. That would be chaos. That would be absolute anarchy. Nobody would buy anything, and nobody would own anything, because they realize nobody values anything. Nobody values anything, and therefore, why should I have anything? Because people are just going to steal it. It would create a world that would be unlivable. And every time I had done that, I had supported that energy. Every time I had downloaded a movie or, some pirated copy of something, I was destroying abundance. I was destroying wealth. That was the energy I was creating. And this, when you bring it back to trading, creates a contradiction in your mind. Why is that? Because you're saying you want to be abundant and wealthy and you want to do this through trading. This is what you're saying. But at the same time, there's a contradiction because you're saying, well, I don't want to pay for that movie. I'm just going to download it for free. Or that system or that EA or whatever it is, I don't want to pay for that. It's too much. I can't afford it. Why would I pay for it if I can get it for free? It saves me money. The bottom line is these are just excuses, just like they were for me. They are contradictory to the mindset of abundance, and they destroy the energy of abundance. Try and think of it like this. This is what it's like in your mind. It creates a fractured mindset. Those two programs cannot coexist simultaneously in your head. On the one side, you're saying, I want to be wealthy, I want to make a lot of money, I want to do this through trading, I want to trade 5, 10, 15, 100 lots, 200 lots, 1,000 lots, whatever. It's more than what you are doing right now, and it's more than what you can imagine right now. So you're saying, I want to be wealthy, I want to make a lot of money. At the same time, you're saying, I can't afford that. I don't want to pay for that. That's too much. Oh, to pay $250 for that guy's system is too much for me, or to pay $150 for his training program is too much, or whatever it is, or to pay this much for that movie or that book or whatever it is. You have a contradictory program running. It creates a fractured mindset, and that fracture, those two programs cannot coexist. So what does this translate into? Because the mind cannot reconcile this, it creates the wrong mindset. Not just the wrong mindset of abundance, but the wrong mindset to be a successful trader. How can you handle trading 1, 10, 20, 100, 1,000 lots, more lots whenever? How can you handle trading that if you're not willing to pay for a book or a movie or a training program? Maybe it's some sort of training program on whatever. It could be a training program on how to start a business or how to trade the market or anything. How can you handle trading that? How can you handle trading more lots than you are now if you have those thoughts in your mindset that I don't want to pay for this? That's too much money. Oh, I can't afford that. Or I shouldn't pay for that. Those things that cannot coexist. How can you say you can be a millionaire if you're not willing to pay for things, if those things are too expensive for you? Those two thoughts cannot coexist. The mind cannot reconcile these two programs. This line of thinking that you shouldn't have to pay for these things, or that you can steal, or that if you can just get something for free, why not just do it regardless of the consequences? That line of thinking will always interfere with the mindset of being abundant, of being wealthy. It's contradictory. What does it translate into? It translates into it means you are not willing to do the work. And what will happen is there will be moments in your trading process, in your development. Everybody comes up against these moments, and you're going to probably come up against several, maybe dozens, maybe hundreds, where you have to really dig in and work hard mentally or physically to really do this, to really become a successful trader. Maybe it taxes you physically. Maybe you have to change your schedule. Maybe you have to be disciplined in a way you've never thought of before, whether it's your trading journal or following your money management or following the rules of your system. Whatever it is, when it comes time to do the work, to make that change, to make that adjustment that will help lead to a difference in your trading, you will not be willing to do the work because you have not done the work in the past. You were not willing to do the work to save up to buy something, or you were not willing to do the work to learn something, or to do things correctly. This translation of I'm willing to take the easy way out means you're not willing to do the work. This is the subtle communication that happens in your mind. And when it comes time to really doing the work, you will not be willing to do it. You will not do the work because you haven't sowed the seeds in your mind that you are willing to do whatever it takes to become a successful trader, that you're willing to do the hard work that you haven't done before. That's what it translates in your mind. It ultimately communicates that to your mind. And so when the moment comes and you need to follow your money management or your discipline or whatever, you won't be willing to do the work. The mind cannot reconcile these things. And so in the end, you end up having the wrong mindset for trading successfully. It creates, the funny thing about it is that this is just a fraction of the mindset of a successful trader, of an abundant trader, of an abundant person or a wealthy person. This is just a small portion. This is just one facet of the things that you will need to have that mindset of abundance. Of all the traders that I've worked with, the ones that became successful, most already had the mindset of abundance to begin with, or if they didn't, they were willing to do the work. They were willing to go into those challenging places and work hard at it. So that maybe they couldn't do it right now, maybe they couldn't lift those weights right now, but they were willing to work at it to eventually lift the heavier weights. And when it comes to trading, the lifting the weights is in your mind. You have to be willing to do the work, and they were willing to do that. The good thing about this is that your mind has neuroplasticity to it. You can train your mind to think abundantly. You can train your mind to think wealthy, to have that abundant, wealthy mindset. That can be trained. Everybody can learn that. You just need to rewrite the software in your mind. There's probably more than one underlying program that is interfering with this, but you can rewrite that software. I actually did a very large video on a longer video on the mindset of abundance, and you can find that follow-up video by clicking on that link there. Or you can just go to FX Street, search Chris Capri, and you'll see all of my videos there. All of my recorded videos there, and scroll down and you'll find that mindset, or it's called the Laws of Abundance. And this was a fantastic video. A lot of people have emailed me and said how it's changed their lives, how they now look at things totally differently. They look at money differently, they look at wealth differently, they look at trading differently. I got an immense amount of feedback from this, and a lot of people their lives are different from this, and I hope the same can be for you. I honestly hope that everybody has abundance, that they have all the resources that they need, that they have all the wealth that they need and want. I sincerely hope that for everybody. But you have to train your mind to think that way. You have to have the mindset of abundance, and that can be trained. I train people in that in my course. I teach them methods to do that as well. And so these are something that you can learn to do as well. There are many ways to train your mindset on this. So I hope you found this valuable. I hope you found this an informative video on trading and the laws of abundance, what this means for you, what you are saying that you want to be if you want to be a successful or profitable or professional trader. There's a lot that you're saying that you don't even realize, or you haven't realized you were saying, but you are. And I hope that this video helps to give you a new perspective on this. I hope that this helps you see abundance, wealth, trading in a completely different mindset, in a completely different perspective. Because I believe that pretty much everyone out there can learn to trade successfully. I think everyone can learn to do this. Regardless of your background, training, skill set, doesn't matter. I believe almost everybody can learn to do this with the right training and with the right mindset. So I want to say thank you very much for this. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing your comments on this. I bid you all adieu. I wish you good luck in trading. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to find me, secondskiesforex.com. Until then, best of luck and good luck trading.